that more gently and more rabbinically. As one of my greatest teachers, Rabbi Amy Gerasi, once taught, that energy is the best kind of energy to have. Because of the occasion, because of the place, we're going to channel that in a different way. And so there will be times throughout this Shabbat, today and tomorrow, trust me, that you are going to feel like hooting and hollering and clapping and more cowbell, the whole bit. I want you to channel that into saying things like Shabbat Shalom. Let's try that. There you go. That's pretty good. More channeling. Shabbat Shalom. All right. And when Cassidy does something particularly fantastic or even slightly fantastic, Yasher Koach. Or Kol HaKavod. Okay, I'm sure we have that in the book someplace. So, another thing that's really wonderful about this service, if anything good came out of the last few years, and a few things did, is that now with the magic of, and science, of live streaming, the entire service is captured passively, and you don't have to do a single thing. There will be times when you say, I don't want to lose this moment, you know, Instagram or it didn't happen, I've got to get out in front of this and take a picture. You are liberated from that. Remember, we had Passover. You're free now. You are liberated from taking out any kind of electronic device, recording anything at all. You are now able to be fully present to celebrate Shabbat, celebrate these moments with Cassidy and her family, and we are so grateful to this family for sharing this beautiful simcha with us. And so one more thing, one more PSA, one more public synagogue announcement. I would like you to know that this is a musical community. If you've not been here before, you will be shocked in a pleasant way with all the music that we have here. And I highly encourage you to join in making that music. We're not singing for you, we are singing with you. And Cassidy's going to be leading us in some wonderful things that you will catch the rhythm. Even if you don't know the words, just hum, that's okay too. If you catch the rhythm, you can tap on these wonderful wooden instruments we have, these pews or prayer books. That's cool too. And I promise you, the more you surrender to the music and join in, you will have a better experience of this service, and so will we. And with that, we are going to get started in just a moment. One of these songs that we sing is called Shalom Aleichem, which means peace be upon you. It's a very nice way of saying hello to a couple of angels that we imagine joining us for the period of Shabbat. This is a day on a higher plane, if you will, and when we enter this time, it's as if angels come into our space, bless us, escort us through Shabbat, and when Shabbat is over, we see them on their way, as you would any honored guest. And that song is Shalom Aleichem, and if it were on a page, it would be on page 13, page 13. We also have wonderful transliteration books you can ask an usher for at your discretion. We're going to sing together on page 13. hearts, we also increase the light in our homes and in our holy spaces. And now it's time that we have a couple of candles here that aren't lit yet. This is the first time this season that we haven't had the candles lit ahead of time because of where the sundown goes. So I'm going to call upon several people to not only light but also say the blessing over the candles. And those people include Molly Stein and Adriana Quinn, Anne Marie Odie, and Michelle and Cassidy Browning. And I know that Carrie McIntosh is joining us via Zoom.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu, lehadlik ner, shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. One of the ways we recognize the holy day that is descending upon us is realizing that wherever we've been this week, we can take things a little bit higher. We can elevate our mood, we can elevate our situation just by appreciating the holiness of Shabbat. And we elevate by means of a series of steps. Those steps are made of our songs and psalms of our tradition, starting with the psalm that begins Lechuna Rananan, page 15.
Lechuna Rananan, l'Adonai, Nariya, letzuni sheinu, nekadma fanav, v'toda, mizmirat, Nariya lo, ki al gadol Adonai, melech gadol al kol Elohim Hashem. Hashem nisuni v'negim Hashem. Arva'im shana akudu edor va'omar hem tohei levavem v'hem lo yadu asher nishbati ve'api im yevor el menuchati. Let's join it together.
Page 16.
שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני מלכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום, ישועתו ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נבראותיו, כי גדול אדוני ולמאוד נורא הוא.
move from the Psalms of our poet King David to a more modern composition. It's merely 500 years old, a song where the mystics of Sfat looked out across the plain as it was getting darker, and when they imagined Shabbat approaching, they thought about the majesty of a visiting monarch. At the same time, they welcomed Shabbat with the love of an intimate friend, like watching your beloved walk down the aisle toward you to join you under the chuppah. And so they spoke to Shabbat both as a queen and as a bride in the song that begins, Come, My Beloved, Lacha Dodi, on page 22. We're going to start on page 22.
והיו לי משיסה שעושייך ורחקו כל ימי ולייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסוס חתן על כלאוי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על ימיש מן פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה הולך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת מלה גם בשמחה וצהולה תוך אמוני העם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה
לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת You may be seated. In a moment, we're going to continue with the Psalm for Shabbat on page 23. But first, I would like to call up Cassidy's brother Carson, who's going to be leading us in that psalm. Again, it's on page 23. This is a responsive reading. That means we take turns, and you help out too. But Carson is going to lead us.
It's right here. Get close to the microphone.
A song for Shabbat. It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
How vast your works, Adonai! Your designs are beyond our grasp. The thoughtless cannot comprehend. Oh, that's his line.
Oh, whoops. The thoughtless cannot comprehend. The foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble.
But me you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They will thrive in the courts of our God.
They shall bear fruit even in old age.
Thank you.
They shall be ever fresh and fragrant, to proclaim Adonai is just, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. Yashua Carson, you did a good job. So turns out we also have a song on that same theme, and so I'm going to hand it back over to Cantor Ruth.
The words are Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, a song that Shabbat gives us the opportunity to be present.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות אדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, לזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, לזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, עלי הסוד ועלי נבל, עלי היום ותינון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, לזמר לשמך עליון. כי שיבחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך, במעשה ידך מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, לזמר לשמך עליון. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, וידבקו באשרותיך. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, וידבקו באשרותיך. לה 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 מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, לזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. If you're just joining us, you have dialed into PJTC, Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. We are delighted to have you with us to celebrate Shabbat and also to celebrate Cassidy Browning becoming Bat Mitzvah. Shabbat Shalom. Very good, you're paying attention. So, Cassidy will not be giving the Devar Torah tonight. Cassidy will be giving the Devar Torah tomorrow, which means I have to give the Devar Torah tonight. But I'm really excited what she chose, and her topic is really amazing, but I'm also excited what she didn't choose, which means I get to talk about it, which is something that happens in Leviticus chapter 25 that, it turns out, solves a riddle that I've had for a very long time, a certain puzzle in our tradition, if you will. And it's you could call it a problem of physics or mathematics. I think I'm in the right place. Do we have any actual mathematicians here this evening? Any physicists? Rocket scientists? Typically, I have to be careful with my physics jokes here because people always explain them to me better later. But there is this thing that happens that I'm not exactly sure how it works. And it's something we say every single week when we are finishing up the Torah service. The very last line that we sing. Chadesh, I'm going to stop that now. Chadesh Yamenu Kekedem. And this, for me, has always been kind of like one of those Zen koans, a sort of riddle that allows you to get into a very spiritual place because you're never going to figure it out. It means, Chadesh Yamenu Kekedem means we're calling on Hashem, we're calling on the Holy One to renew our days. Chadesh Yamenu Kekedem, like in the beginning. That's the puzzle, right? How can God renew our days like the good old days? How can something be both new and just like the original? Right? If God does make our days like the original days, then we're just going back to the beginning and starting the cycle all over again. Now, people have probably noticed that Jewish time is cyclical. We have this beautiful wheel of holidays that we return to every single year. We tell the same Passover story every single year. When we finish the Torah, what do? We literally roll it back in a circular fashion to the very beginning, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and start all over again. So I see the kekedem, I see the, make it like it was in the old days. And not for nothing, there's a lot of nostalgia to what we do. But I need to know, where is the chadash? Where is the newness? Where is the renewal? Survival often requires improvisation, and we have often needed to survive. Advancement requires innovation, and we've shown the world that we can be so very, very advanced. So how do we get there if we're continuously starting over? And the answer came to me when I was studying the Torah with a very wise 13-year-old, or close enough back then. And she became fascinated with this topic of Yovel, of Jubilee, right? It's not just a delicious dessert anymore. This idea in the Torah that says, okay, every 50 years, we are going to erase all the changes to land holdings since you settled the land. So the idea is, in the book of Joshua, we cross the river, all the land is divided up amongst the tribes, and when the tribes divide the land up amongst the families, and that's where we start. And the Torah recognizes that, like, look, some people have good years, some people don't. And if you don't have a good year, you might have to sell some of your land to somebody who did have a good year so that you can eat. And that goes on and on and on. And some people have a lot of good years, and some people don't have any good years. And before you know it, you don't have any land. And when you run out of land to sell, you sell your labor. And that's where the institution of debt bondage comes in. Whenever the Torah talks about slaves, it's not talking about chattel slavery like we think about in American history. It's talking about indentured servitude, where people sell their labor. And in this chapter, it deals with that. It says, look, that happens, right? We need people to use their ingenuity. We need to let people be lucky, and sometimes we need to let people be unlucky. But here's the kicker. God set us up with something that says, you can be smart, you can be lucky, you can be good, you can be crafty, but no one gets to be on top forever, and no one gets to be on bottom forever. And so every 50 years, we're going to clear the Monopoly board. Every 50 years, we're going to shake the Etch-a-Sketch, and everyone goes back to his family's original holding. It sounds a little bit collectivist in some 1980s kind of uncomfortable ways, but it's not. But it's saying, look, for 50 years, do what you want. But we don't believe in having a permanent underclass. Now, that's what it means to renew our days as in the days of old. And humbly, I note that even going back to the time of the rabbis and the Talmud, no one has any memory or record of this ever being applied. This was a vision, perhaps a pipe dream, but it was an idea that was essential to who we were. Every once in a while, you need to kick over the table. Every once in a while, you need to shake things up. You need to chadesh. How do you chadesh? Kakedem. You go back to the sources. You go back to where you came from to see what you are made of to move forward. It reminds me of David's slingshot. Right? How do those? It wasn't like the Dennis the Menace pull back the rubber band. It had that sling where you put a rock in a strap and it goes in a circle and it goes faster and faster, and it's not going anywhere. It's just going in a circle until you let it go. And that's how he beat Goliath. That's how he became David. That's how we got Jerusalem and later a temple with a circle and then a straight line. Now, this is where I need the mathematicians. Does anybody know what you call a circle that has a straight line going off of it, intersecting? What's that? A tangent. Thank you. Because there's one in every Rabbi John Carrier sermon. I did that for Michelle. What does that have to do with what we're doing here tonight? We have a brand new Jewish adult. We have a person who we are counting on, no pressure, to renew us, to renew our own commitments, for me to renew my learning and see things that I'd never seen before. How does she get that power? Now, I've seen some of Cassidy's growing up. I've seen some of the village that she is a part of. I know the strong Jewish women who have showed you the track that they have trod, who have showed you what has been important not only in their lives, but in the lives of the women that came before them. You're celebrating your bat mitzvah because of people who didn't get to celebrate their banot mitzvah. And just because they didn't have the permission doesn't mean they didn't have the power. And because of those women showing you the circle of Jewish life, you, like the stone and the sling, can go so very, very far. And so I bless you that you can continue to observe and follow the path they trod that brought you to this place today, because that has shown you where you come from and has shown you the power that you have. But that wasn't their only job. Their other job was to give you a kick in the tuchus, to forge your own path. Remember that. Because tomorrow, shortly after 12:30, a promise is a promise, many people in this room will be present to lift you up onto a chair. We are lifting you not just into your future, but into ours. So please, Cassidy, take us with you. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining us here at PJTC. We're going to continue with Mariv. On page 28, we start with our call to blessing, the Baruch Hu, and Cassidy will lead us. Please rise as you are able.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvelayla, Adonai tzevot shemo, et hai v'kayam, tamid yamloch aleinu, le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
You may be seated as we go from blessing God for illuminating our lives to blessing God for the constancy of God's love. Ahavat Olam on page 29. Page 29.
Olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpati, Otanu li'a'eta. אותנו לבמאתה. על כן אדוני אלוהינו נשמנו, וקומנו נשיח בחוקותיך, ונשמח בבית תורתך, ומשמותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, נגד יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמי. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווכם היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
Continue at the middle of page 30 at your own pace. We'll get back together in just a moment. We continue together at the top of page 31, page 31.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בטיל לתהלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניהם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, ואתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On page 32, we bless God for God's light and for God's love. Now we bless God's nature as a redeemer, answering us when we call, on page 32.
Let's join together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מי כמוך באלים
מלכותך ראו בניך בוקר היום לפני משה ומרים זה לי אנו אמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כיפת אדוני את יעקב ונערו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Shemo.
גל ישראל
Amen. I'm going to call up Michelle. She's going to join Cassidy and Cantor Ruth in Hashkivenu on page 33. Page 33.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Let's join together. All of us together.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomeinu lechaim Ushmor Seitenu U'oleinu Lechaim u'shalom Be'ata ve'Adonai Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomeinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomeinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu leshalom Baruch Adonai הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ועל ירושלים. Amen.
We continue on page 34. Page 34.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם שמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לתורותם ברית עולם ושמרו